Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Tonight's article comes from WLBT.com. It's a news station, an NBC affiliate. And the headline is Family Believes Christmas Present Unleash Paranormal Activity into Their Brandon Home. It was written by Josh Carter and it was published January 25th, 2021. This is a strange one. Brandon, Mississippi. It sounded like someone was knocking on the walls. That's how Whitney Merritt describes the beginning of the nearly 3 weeks of alleged paranormal activity her family endured after receiving a Christmas present last month. The present was a vintage doll carriage. Her mother had gotten it from a friend of a friend and had gifted it to Whitney's daughter, where it sat by the Christmas tree for the first few days. The knocking, Whitney says, began at the beginning of the year. They would hear it on the walls of their Brandon home, which they have recently moved into. The sounds grew so loud that on 2 occasions, Whitney walked to the front door, thinking someone was outside. It was midnight, so Whitney called her husband Michael, who works nights. "I think someone's at the front door," she told him, before turning on the porch light. When she opened it, no one was there. And then about the 3rd or 4th night was when we started hearing like boom, boom, boom in the attic. She recalls as she rubs her chest, leaving it red. At first, they simply wrote it off. The home was built in 1992. Maybe it was just settling in. "I don't know. Logical reasons I'm trying to come up with in my head," Whitney admits. But soon the sounds above their living room became so frequent that they could no longer be ignored. So one weekend in the middle of the night, Michael went into the attic carrying a shotgun and a flashlight, expecting to find someone up there. That's what I'd have done too. I'd have went up there with my gun and a light and seen what the hell was going on. "We were out there making so much noise," Whitney says. "People probably thought we were crazy. We thought that there was somebody in the attic, but no one was up there. And so ended week 1. Week 2 started with a bang. It was around 2 or 3 in the morning when Whitney was awakened from what she called a deep sleep. The noise was so loud, she says, that she thought their dog had crashed through the window of their door. She grabbed her handgun and walked around their home but found nothing. In the morning, while walking into the kitchen, was when she discovered the bag on the ground. In the bag were the coffee mugs she had recently purchased from TJ Maxx. The bag was 3 to 4 feet away from the table. Both of the mugs were broken. There was no way that they could have fallen over at all," Whitney says adamantly. "I mean, they weren't on their side or anything. They're not just going to roll. You know what I mean? They don't just roll." The next night, another bang. It was around 3:30 in the morning. Whitney rushed into the kitchen to find another bag on the floor. Inside, another shattered mug. This time, shards of glass had come out of the bag, and so Whitney began sweeping it up. After putting the glass in the trash can, Whitney started walking back to her bedroom. That's when she said she heard the sound of someone dropping a load of silverware into the sink. "I mean, I wasn't even back to the bedroom yet, and that's when I turned around. I about broke my neck," she says. "And I went back to the sink to look and was like, maybe something slipped and fell. But I had just done the dishes. There was nothing in the sink, so I was freaked out. I stayed up for a while." The last week, a series of events occurred, most involving her children's rooms and their toys. The dream catcher and lamp in her daughter's room fell to the floor multiple times. After investigating it the second time they fell, Whitney and Michael were walking back to their bedroom when the bathroom door slammed behind them. At first they thought maybe one of their children had gone to use the bathroom, but the light never came on. "So my husband opened up the door real quick and turned the light on, and there was nothing in there," Whitney says. "And he stood there messing with the doors in the hallway for a minute, just trying to find a logical explanation, like maybe it was the suction that slammed the door. But the door never moved again." The next day, the family was in the living room when one of their children's toy cars started playing music repeatedly. When they checked it, the toy's power switch was turned off. Later that evening, Whitney went to wake up Michael for work. As he got ready, Whitney began to sweep the living room. As she swept, she saw her husband walk into the kitchen to fix himself some coffee. She says she asked him a question which he ignored. So she asked it again. Still no answer. Frustrated, she walked into the kitchen but found no one there. Whitney walked back into their bedroom to find her husband asleep. I saw him, Whitney says. I swear on my kids, and I'm not crazy. Please don't think I'm crazy. Because repeating this to somebody, I know it sounds weird. Because I've never believed in any of that ever in my life. I'm not, but I saw a person walk past the door into the kitchen. Then came the final straw. It was the day after Whitney says she saw someone walk into their kitchen. She had gone to get groceries at the Kroger on Spillway Circle with her daughter. Her 4-year-old was at their grandparents' and her 7-year-old was at school. Michael was the only one home. Whitney said it was around 12:30 when he called her. Hey, is Paxton home? Michael asked. Whitney said no, that he was still at school. When Whitney and her daughters got home, Michael explained the call. He said that he was in bed when he heard the front door close. Then he heard Paxton's door close. Then he began hearing knocking on the walls. He called Paxton's name 5 or 6 times, but there was no answer. That's when he got up and walked into his son's room. Paxton's bedroom light was on, his Xbox was on, and a bottle of water was actively dripping on the floor. After telling Whitney his story, they had a discussion about all of the strange occurrences at their home. And when they had begun, we were sitting here and Michael just fixated on that little baby carriage, and we stuck it outside. Since then, everything has been normal. No more knocking, no more footsteps in the attic. The carriage now resides in the garage and has been placed on Facebook Marketplace for $65. Full disclosure, the caption reads. It's definitely haunted, so yeah. Whitney did say that she eventually received more backstory on the carriage from her mother, who told her that the owner's husband had been killed in a motorcycle accident on the Natchez Trace a year ago. She believes that it's possible that that's who she saw walk past her in the kitchen. We both strongly believe there is a spirit attached to that doll buggy, Michael wrote in a text message. With what was going on, there was no other explanation. It all started with all the knocking and banging on the walls out of nowhere, and I knew. Whitney says she wouldn't argue with anyone who doubts their story, and that she too is hesitant to believe people who claim to have seen something paranormal. I didn't want to say any of this out loud because it sounds, I know how it sounds, Whitney says. I'm not stupid. I know how it sounds, but it is what it is. And that is the end of this article. So this one, as I said, was extremely interesting and strange at the same time. What you have here is a family that got a doll buggy for Christmas. And after this doll buggy came into their home, they started having all kinds of paranormal activity going on. It started out slow and built up. The interesting thing here to me is that once they removed the doll buggy from the house, they stopped getting the paranormal activity. So they believed that there was an attachment to that doll buggy of this guy that died in a motorcycle accident not too long before that. Seems to make sense to me if that guy owned that doll buggy and it meant a lot to him, he very well could have been attached to it. Maybe he built it for his own daughter or something like that, and it had a lot of sentimental value, and that's why his spirit is hanging on to it after he's already died. Seems like a logical explanation to me. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. We've all heard of haunted objects. Now, a lot of the haunted objects you see are complete BS. It's people selling stuff trying to make it more interesting so you'll buy it, but it's not actually haunted. But there have been cases of objects actually being haunted. Take Annabelle the doll, for example. That's a perfect example of this, of an object that was haunted, that was possessed in some way. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it, and I will see you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.